everybody. Welcome to yet another Star Trek podcast. My name is Drew. I'm your host for the evening. I wish I was Brad for the evening, but I'm
Nobody
not.
wants to be Brad for the evening.
Not everybody can really support what I do.
It's true. It's true. I mean, you are... Brad, you're my number one.
Aw, that's so meaningful. I appreciate that.
I was going to make some kind of like lame joke about you guys are like genetically modified, and that Brad, you'd be like the genetically modified carrot, and Majeed would be the genetically modified tomato, only because he's wearing a red shirt. But
I mean, that truly just means he dies tonight.
What the hell, Brad? I mean, Drew, I would have also accepted like a Dorito because, like, you know, I'm like big on top and then like skinny.
You're spicy?
Right. No, like you know, like a big on top and then like skinny legs because I always skip leg day. I don't know.
What if you're an inverted Dorito and you're kind of pointy on the top and...
I'd be a turnip at that point. It's not
So another genetically modified
turnip
organism. Oh my God, my brain just went places that are not PG-13 for this podcast. How are you guys doing?
I'm doing fantastic, sir. Yourself?
I'm tired.
I'm
tired.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a longer week than the last one was. Did a 12-hour day on Friday night into Saturday morning. Very glad to be off. Really looking forward to sitting down and kind of just chatting about some Star Trek with you guys. I really enjoy these recording sessions. It gives me a chance to unwind and loosen up and just have fun. And Lord knows I need it. So
yeah, I have to imagine that once you get off after so long, it just, you know, just feels good.
Well, if you want something to just watch and be mindless about, you should watch the new Chip and Dale movie. It is awesome.
No spoilers.
go on.
No spoilers.
It like I watched it just to be like, oh, I need something to just kill some time because I didn't really feel like putting anything too dedicated on, and it is hilarious. It is such a throwback to the 1990s cartoons, and there are so many random inserts of other characters from different shows. It was far better than I had anticipated.
That makes me happy to hear. I don't really have a particular nostalgia for Rescue Rangers, but I'm glad that they did a nice job with it.
Well, it's basically a Lonely Island production. You know, Andy Samberg and
Oh,
the
really?
other two. And one of the Lonely Island guys directed it. I found.
I did not realize that.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Mm. Hey, if you hear an echo, by the way, I'm sorry to you, Drew, because you'll have to, you know, deal with it when you're editing.
This is infuriating, but why don't you tell the listeners what's going on and why you're surrounded by echoes?
Well, my father-in-law is going to be here. Matter of fact, in like hopefully after we finish recording. But I need to evacuate the other office, so I started building this new office off our breezeway. Almost done.
It kind of looks like a quarantine room.
I mean, it could be. But
All I see is a blank wall with like, I'm assuming is blue painter's tape, but it could easily be like medical grade quarantine plastic.
You see,
What's behind that curtain on your left?
a window.
It looks more of like a house that is still in the process of being built. Like
Which is technically pretty accurate because the room is not technically finised building yet.
You got one of those. You got one of those fancy. Yeah, I was going to ask you about the fancy pocket door.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I showed you yesterday, and Frank was like, "Oh, that's way too big to fit in my pocket."
Frank's?
Which I totally appreciated, by the way. Like you jerk.
Oh, good old Frank's.
Good old Frank's with the dad jokes.
Oh my goodness.
But yeah, no, the echo is coming from this room because it's wholly like it's not done yet, and
You can start practicing your singing in there.
No,
I'm sure
I have
the
to shower.
acoustics would be great.
I have to shower for that.
Can you give us your rendition of the Star Trek theme?
Bam, 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 bam,
I feel
bam,
like we
bam.
should just stop right now and basically just not let him talk for the rest of the night.
There's
We
there's already a podcast called Yet Another Star Wars Podcast. So
should sue them.
Really? Did they take our name?
no, actually we took theirs.
Oh,
So-
okay. So it's good.
Hey, by the way, we should also. Yeah, I know this is wholly a Star Trek podcast, but Obi-Wan is starting soon, and I am super excited for that.
So I've been kind of staying in the dark with that for the most part, but I saw a trailer for it today. It looks awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Ewan McGregor, he just like embodied Obi-Wan. Like,
I'm looking
perfect
forward
casting.
to it. I've yet to see anything from it though.
Well, it hasn't aired yet, Brad.
Well, I mean the trailers. I don't even think I've seen a trailer for it yet. The only thing I really recall seeing was the She-Hulk trailer, which
Let's not talk about it.
I'm very excited and slightly potentially scared that it's not going to be good with the CGI.
We hit the uncanny valley in some of those shots. By the way, speaking of uncanny valley, uncanny valley. Love, Death, and Robots.
Oh,
Volume 3.
Watch
Is
the
it
first
good?
2 episodes. It is so good.
Right, but there's one episode, which is like the final episode of Volume 3. There is so much uncanny valley in there. It took me out of the story.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. But my favorite one from Volume 3, by the way, was the one called Swarm.
I've
I
only
won't
seen the
ruin-
first 2, so
Yeah, I'm not going to ruin it, but it's called Swarm, and it's one of those that it's the show overall can be really heavy, but this one was like, oh man, that's rough. I had to take a break after watching an episode. I'll keep it at that.
Drew, have you seen any of the other?
I have not. I
It's-
would like to.
You'd love it. You'd love it.
It's probably one of the easiest shows to get into because you really don't need to remember every single thing that happened in the previous episode because they're entirely different stories.
They're also
and-
bite-sized.
Yeah.
They're like 15, 20 minutes about.
And the thing that I think to me, one of the things I like the most about it is that if I'm not really feeling the groove for that episode, all I have to do is just wait until the next one. It'll be entirely different.
Mm-hmm. Drew, what I can recommend for you, buddy, is one episode called "The Witness." It's
Okay.
from Volume 1, and if you don't like it, I'll let you punch Brad in the face.
Cool.
Ah, gee, thanks. I appreciate that.
No problem, buddy.
I feel like I
Anyway.
should give you a demerit for that one.
You can't give demerits. It's not a part of your admin
it's
profile.
It's not a part of my
It's not a part of your profile.
my portfolio.
What
No.
can this is an equal opportunity workplace? What can Brad give?
Multiply. Brad can multiply.
I'm
He can-
like
he
the
can
red
clone
shirt.
himself.
Are we
Of
talking
Star
about
Trek?
like math or
No, Brad sucks at math. We're talking about like
Oh,
he can clone
really
himself.
now?
Yeah. I don't claim to be an expert at math, but I'm probably better than Brad.
well, look, just because your wife is an accountant doesn't make you good at math.
Yeah, I remember many stories where you were just like, my wife handed me something to sign, so I just signed it and didn't really read it.
Right, and it just happened to be my life insurance papers. That's actually a true story, by the way. She I had to sign some papers, and I'm like, "What is this?" She's like, "Don't worry about it." And a couple of days later, she hands me the phone, and I'm like, "What is this?" It's like, "Just talk." I'm like, "Hello, hey, I'm so and so with so and so life insurance," and I just kind of slowly look at her. And I'm like, what are we doing here? And she says, remember that paper I gave you a couple days ago? Just keep talking. Just keep talking. I said, ugh, I'm not going to sleep well tonight, am I? But this is what I have to deal with, being married to a woman who thinks that I need a will. I don't need a will.
Well, it does make things easier.
It makes things real at that point. It makes things real, like there's a real possibility that something could happen.
Just like marriage.
Well,
Or
marriage,
having a child.
I have both. I have both.
right, guys. So I'm going to do my best not to mispronounce this throughout the entire episode, but I guarantee you I'm going to mess this up at least 3 times. This week we watched Ghosts of Illyria. Illyria?
Is it Children of Illyria, bro? Children of Illyria? Children of
Illyria.
Illyria. All right.
Yeah, Children of Illyria.
Because they're Illyrians, right?
Yeah.
You know what? I should have been a good podcaster. I should have rewatched the episode just to get the pronunciation down.
I watched this episode 2 hours ago.
So you should host.
Why don't we just kind of go with it and make it up as we go along?
You mean like everything else that we do?
Yeah, I mean that's how we get gold, baby.
Oof! Don't call us baby.
Whoa,
that's a demerit.
Wait, what? But
Yeah,
you didn't say that last night.
No, he's what? me or him?
Yes.
Oof! This is gonna be weird. Anyway.
This week we watched Ghosts of Illyria, an episode that had more twists than I have beer in my fridge. Which would be a funny joke if I didn't have a beer full of fridge.
Wait, a beer full of fridge?
I know what I said, sir. Hashtag tired. Hashtag oh no.
It's okay, Drew. Crack open a cold one. Maybe you'll get to fewer twists.
I'm out. We join number ones, Pike, Spock, and several other members of the Enterprise as they explore an abandoned Illyrian colony. It has been explained that the Illyrians are a group of people who live their lives with modifications to their bodies. This is something that is strictly against Starfleet's beliefs due to the eugenics war. Throwback to Khan Noonien Singh, who was a genetically modified human.
I was wondering how long it was going to take them to really bring that topic up again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they pulled the Band-Aid off pretty quick. We'll circle back to that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so, when you say eugenics war,
Yeah.
you mean...
So, when we get to the episode Space Seed in the original series, you'll be introduced to Khan for the first time. Khan and his crew are genetically modified humans. There's a ban on genetic modifications in Starfleet because these guys essentially waged war and started winning against the planet Earth. So there's like this trepidation against genetic modification in humans because they feel that another uprising like that could happen again, and the Federation could potentially get overthrown.
Mm-hmm.
That's the Cliff's Notes version.
Mm-hmm. That was season 1?
Season 1 of the original series, yes. Which later they make Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan out of. Which,
sorry, couldn't help myself.
No problem at all. Jokes aside, it is a fantastic film. And they've woven bits and pieces of the eugenics war through some of the other stories as well too, but never to this extent, I don't think.
I'm hoping they get more in depth with it. I feel like with having one of their main cast be what is it, like granddaughter of Khan, I believe,
something like that.
With her being a main cast member, I think they're probably going to touch on it a little bit more in a later episode.
Yeah, I'm surprised they took the route that they've taken thus far. But anyway, let's get back to it, and we can discuss that further.
Ooh, in case, told you, Brad. Told you.
Well, I
think it's less of telling about me, more about how the episode played out, which I agree with Drew on that one.
Yeah, Majeed. Shove it. An ion storm threatens the away team, so number one returns to the ship with the crew, while Pike goes out in a search for Spock. Nice little reference there, buddy. As one will quickly learn from playing Dungeons & Dragons, splitting the party is a bad idea. The crew of the Enterprise are faced off against a mysterious virus, making them virtually addicted to light, while Pike and Spock are stranded on the planet with no way to communicate with them. Number one, who encounters this moment where she's like deeply attracted to light and then just kind of shrugs it off. She seems completely unaffected by the virus. She works her best in finding a way to save the crew. And through a series of events, we learn that she is actually an Illyrian herself. And she's only protected by the virus due to her modifications.
I think I think that was like plot twist number like 5 at that point in the episode.
Yeah, we're pretty deep into it at this point. Yeah. While on the planet, Pike and Spock learn that the ion storm contains mysterious beings of pure energy. Spock speculates that they may be the Illyrians who once lived in the colony. So, we're getting a lot of information in a short amount of time here.
Yeah, it was like nonstop, back to back, kind of hard to process certain things.
Yeah, but at least it wasn't one big exposition drop. You know,
True.
Like
True.
It was bite-sized expedition. Exit. What? Exit. What was the word I just said? I forgot the word. Excavation?
I'm totally torn between helping you out and just leaving you hanging.
Let's just
I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out. Exposition.
Yes!
Exposition.
Ding, 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 ding.
I hate you guys. All right, let's go. Let's continue. Let's go.
I want to say though, like to your point, Majeed, it is like small tidbits, but I kind of feel like the amount of stuff that's going on would have been more beneficial if they kind of dragged the episode out a little bit longer, let things more sink in. But that's just a personal preference, I guess, for me.
Yeah, there wasn't a lot of room for the episode to breathe. You know, it was kind of one thing after another, you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
An infected Lieutenant Singh attempts to bring down the containment field of the warp core to get access to the light. Number one attempts to stop her, however, she fails to do so. Because she's modified, though, her body absorbs the radiation that was released, and through magic, triggers a chain reaction in Singh, thus allowing Nurse Chapel to make the antibodies necessary for the crew to recover.
What
Magic
the hell
does
did they
exist.
call that?
Hang on, magic does exist in Star Trek, though, right?
Yeah, it's called the magic of a plot point that needs to end within the next 15 minutes.
No, but Q isn't Q like pure magic?
I think he's probably the closest that we get to magic. Yeah,
Yeah. He's like a pixie, right?
I wouldn't have used those words, but yes.
What about a genie? Is he a genie?
I feel like you're trying to overly simplify what the Q are.
Wait, Q is not one person?
No, they're actually
No.
it's a group of aliens. We primarily only deal with one Q, but there are other Q, and they're all named Q.
So then how do we not know if all of them are not really just the same one and they just go back and like act like the other Q?
Like how, you know, we interact with you, Brad, and then maybe we get a different Brad at a different point. Oh my God, the Brads. We have the Brads, we have the Q.
I mean, they're basically the same thing. Back to the story. It is further explained that all of this is caused by Dr. Mbenga not upgrading the sick bay transporters because he was keeping something secret from everybody. He had his daughter stuck in the transporter buffers. She had been diagnosed with the disease and had 12 weeks to live, and he's keeping her in the pattern until he can find a cure for her.
Man, so many things to say about this episode.
Well,
Listen,
I could sum it up for you.
Go for it, man.
Number one can double as a nightlight. It's all Dr. Mbenga's fault, and Illyria is still hard to pronounce.
I swear, man, like so Majeed, when number one lit up, my first thought was what was it, Killian from Iron Man 3?
Oh my God, yes. He was like one of the extremist soldiers.
I was like, that is what it is.
That's exactly what it was. It was. And by the way, when they revealed that number one was an Illyrian, I'm like, of course. I mean, Rebecca Romaine, of course she's going to be like genetically altered. She doesn't look that way just because. Woman's gorgeous. But I
Hollywood,
digress.
baby.
So starting off with the beginning of the episode, though, I swear to God, I thought this was another Naked Time. Because
Naked Time.
Like,
hang on.
The way it started.
Nope, do it right. Naked Time.
Can we get one from Brad?
Yes.
Naked Time.
Nope.
No. But no, that's it really felt like that episode, with the way this one started with what was the crewman's name? Lance, I think it was.
Lancelot, yeah.
But like it was one of those things where it was just kind of like, are they really just gonna go ahead and recycle the same stuff over and over again? But thankfully they did take a shift. And I mean, light being apparently the way this stuff transmits, sure, I guess.
No, that's kind of how codes transmit, right? Like, through
through light.
Shuttle the lights
Yes,
off.
through light. You just do a flashlight and then you get sick. Got it.
So,
Yep. And that's how conspiracies get started, Brad. Congratulations.
speaking of Q,
Oh, okay. I see what you did there.
That took me a second. That took me a second. Oh my God, that was clever. That was good. Like Q, like a nod. That's hey, any demerits you have, like, you're completely wiped out. Like, congratulations.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
Not you, Brad. Drew.
No, of course not me.
No, work your demerits off.
So this is apparently not the first time the Illyrians have been mentioned in Star Trek, and I have not gotten to this point in Enterprise, but in season 3, there's an episode called Damage, and the Illyrians are introduced in that. I don't really have the background, but this isn't like just something that they pulled out of their ass. Apparently, they are trying to weave together loose ends of as much Star Trek as possible, for better or for worse.
I know I definitely saw that episode. However, at the time, I was recovering from surgery and was high as freaking A, man, and I do not remember any of it at all.
It must have been a good episode.
So you recovered from surgery and you were high, but other times you're watching Star Trek, you're just high.
Or recovering from surgery.
Well, recovering from surgery.
One just happened to be both at the same time.
Well, it was I binged watched like freaking all of Star Trek for an entire week. Because, like, what else are you going to do when you're, recovering from surgery?
I mean, binge watching Star Trek is a great way to recover.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. That sounds perfect to me.
Oh, it was great. I hooked a Bluetooth headset up because I needed it right next to my head so I can hear shit. Because I couldn't wear my glasses and the TV was, far away and stoned.
I could just picture you with your headphones on and your phone taped to your face.
No, it wasn't even that. It was like I had this Bluetooth speaker that was just like, one of those Beats things that you had, like, just for listening to music. It was like right next to my ear. Well, the one ear, so it was ear surgery. So the right ear was covered with this giant mountain of like this white gauze, and the other side was like, yeah, I think I can hear crap. And by the way, I have a hearing loss, so therefore I had to do it. It was pretty interesting.
Well, I still like this image of you, like, just with all this stuff like taped to your face. A speaker, a Bluetooth speaker, a phone or a projector. I don't know. I think a projector would work.
Maybe a pocket knife.
I positioned it in a way that, like, I was laying down and like the speaker was like positioned on the speaker, so it was like blasting directly into my ear so I could hear. It was.
Is it weird that I'm picturing like a Swiss Army bread right now? All these different tools.
We're not talking about that movie with Daniel Radcliffe. I'm sorry, not Swiss Army Man.
That's the movie?
You didn't see? You ever heard that one?
No, what is it?
It's Daniel Radcliffe is. There's just one guy that's in the middle of the woods and he finds a dead Daniel Radcliffe type character, and like it's so freaking weird, man. Where he's just like doing random shit. You gotta look it up. It's so hilarious.
Is it Daniel Radcliffe type or is it actually Daniel Radcliffe?
It's Daniel Radcliffe.
So Daniel Radcliffe, he plays
is
a
this like a Ryan Seacrest type kind of situation?
Swiss Army Man.
You guys won't get that joke. It makes me so sad.
Yeah,
That's
Swiss
twice.
Army Man.
That's...
Look that up. It's actually Daniel Radcliffe. It's pretty good.
I'll ask Franks if he's ever seen it.
That episode, man, I get what you're saying, Drew. Like they're trying to tie up things and connect it. It's kind of hard though. I think in some sense that they're, at least for me, since I had no idea these were an alien species before I was watching it. Don't even remember them from the my stoned out time watching the Enterprise.
Yeah, I mean, I hadn't gotten to that episode. I was in season 3, but like early on in season 3 when I got distracted by something else shiny. I'd like to kind of circle back to it and finish the show, but I got a ways to go. Anyway, so that being said, how do you guys feel about Una, number 1, being an Illyrian?
I thought it was a good plot. I thought it was a weird plot twist.
You know, I think to me, Drew, going back to your comment earlier about Singh, and I kind of felt it was a surprise that they didn't have Singh be the modified individual, and they to me, it kind of I kind of expected it.
Low hanging fruit.
Yeah, it's true. It would have been a very low hanging fruit, but
So I'm of two minds on this personally, because I do think that if they chose Singh, it would have been the obvious choice, low hanging fruit, kind of a who cares kind of thing. We saw that coming a mile away. And I think that the story that they could potentially tell with her instead, I think there's excuse me, I think there's something more rewarding there. However, I don't know that they've earned it with number 1 yet. Does that make sense?
I agree, but so here's the problem I had. I think I'm okay with it, but the problem I had with it was that the character is so far up in the ranks within the Starfleet that, like, how do you not like get pulled aside through some sort of test, some sort of situation where you're miraculously fine and everybody else is not? How is it that you went this far along into your career and never getting mentioned before?
And to the point too, let's talk Deep Space Nine spoilers for a second. Majeed, cover your ears.
Earmuffs.
So Dr. Bashir is genetically modified. We don't find out about that until like season 5 or season 6, right?
Yes.
So at least 100 episodes have passed before we find out that he's genetically modified. And Bashir is like the best doctor in maybe all of Star Trek for like the stuff that he's cured and accomplished, right?
Yeah.
Just his track record, I think, is truly impeccable.
Is Bashir also a bartender?
No.
Oh, you see? So your doctor's not always a bartender, Drew.
But he does like to drink.
Yes. And he hangs out at the bar.
He does hang out at the bar.
Do bartenders like to drink, though? Or they just like to serve drinks?
It depends on the bartender.
So an alcoholic bartender will like to drink.
I think Majeed, from your current perspective of being a very reluctant individual to drink alcohol, I feel like you should just accept it and move on.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that reluctant. I just don't like doing it.
So in any case, Majeed's ruining my point.
Sorry.
Dr. Bashir, like there was a precedent for him over the course of multiple seasons. And these were long seasons, by the way, 20 something episodes apiece. So the character earned the storyline, and it all seemed plausible. And here's a character that you've grown attached to, that he's talking about getting court-martialed or imprisoned and removed from Starfleet, and it's like, oh shit, like this is a real risk. But here you have number one, who we've had on the show for 3 episodes now and a couple episodes of Disco. I'm like, all right, well, I'd be sad to see her go, but okay.
So yeah, so like to me, like the difference between Bashir and her is that the modification with Bashir was just as intelligence,
right?
Whereas she's basically immune to any type of disease.
Right, I agree. So if anything, like Bashir is less harmful than she is because she's got super strength. She's got all the that they don't want with Khan.
Well, because it's what is it? Nurse Chapel goes like, how did you carry Singh all the way here? I think it was
right,
or I think it was yeah, and then it was like, to me, like it really, I felt like they missed an opportunity to hold on to that reveal for a longer. Like they could have introduced the idea, like in this episode, but not reveal it until however many, maybe later into the season. Just do a slow reveal.
I agree with you 100%. I think pulling the trigger on this reveal 3 episodes in really harmed the impact of it.
Because it didn't mean as much as it could have.
It didn't mean anything.
Majeed, so from you being a very non super Star Trek nerd like me and Drew are, like how did you feel about that? Because I know you've dealt with like plot twists and stuff like that in other shows, and did it really matter as much as it did for me and Drew, or is it kind of like meh?
No, it's meh. It's it's totally meh for me. I was like, oh, cool. Something about a character that I've never heard of before. Well, say for a handful of episodes from the original TOS, right? Well,
yeah. I mean, she was in the cage, and then she was in
the Menagerie.
No, well, just the flashbacks.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert: we haven't talked about the Menagerie yet.
But she was also in Discovery, a couple of episodes, in a couple of the short treks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it doesn't really matter to me. In the vast world of Star Trek and her number of appearances, it means little to me.
So moving on to like a more positive note, though, I really did like that they are switching the focus around the characters. Mm-hmm. This was to me like a very nice change from what we're used to. Like you would see it, Drew, in the other series, not so much in the TOS, but like in TNG, DS9, and so forth, up until I would say even like Enterprise even. But Discovery, I felt kind of lost that focal point where they would
100%.
focus more on one of the side or one of the lesser characters.
I know more about number one, Singh, Mbenga, Pike, and Spock in 3 episodes of Strange New Worlds than I know about Detmer or Awosekun or Reese or anybody else that's on that bridge crew that's not named Michael Burnham or Saru.
Yeah.
Over the course of 4 seasons.
Yeah. You know what? You know what's good about this show for me is it's not the Pike show.
It's not. It's an ensemble. It's an ensemble.
It's not the Pike and Friends. Pike's not been the hero.
His crew has. His crew's been the hero. Yeah.
Even last week, he wasn't the hero, right?
But isn't that like that makes it so more realistic in a sense?
Which I love.
Because it's not the captain always saving it. It's not Burnham, who's always saving everything.
Right. Well, see, because Pike relies on his crew. He trusts his crew because he realizes he doesn't know everything, and he doesn't have the solution to everything. But he's surrounded by an extremely talented group of people who do. You know, if one person doesn't know something, somebody else in that department does. And that's why the Enterprise has historically been the best ship in the fleet. Mm-hmm. Like the Enterprise is the equivalent to going to Harvard or to Yale.
Yeah.
Only the best are assigned to that crew. And this is a perfect example of why. You know, this is why that ship is the flagship. And what I really enjoyed about this episode is that they went through this logical series of events, once again, to come up with a reason for these things happening, whether it's Spock reading the scrolls on the planet, trying to determine what these energy creatures were, what happened to the Illyrian society, or up on the ship where they were able to use the antibodies from number one and from Singh to develop a cure, although that kind of happened in fast forward. You know, it was all, you know, step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. There was a path. There wasn't any immediate jumping to conclusions, I don't think. I don't know if you guys agree.
Yeah, no, there was no jump to conclusions.
I definitely agree. I mean, I know this is going to sound like just complaining, but like another thing that bothered me was that the beings, those energy beings, they kind of just left it. Like they left it there. They didn't say maybe we should see if we can help them or anything. There was no. I mean, the episode itself was.
We out.
Yeah, that's kind of what it was. It's just like that episode of Miri when they left all the children on the planet. They're like, yeah, you'll figure something out.
We'll send the ship. It'll be here in about a month or two.
Yeah, but like, I get it why they probably didn't talk about it because the episode was so jam packed with stuff. I mean, even that last point, the doctor, what's his name?
Mbega.
Mbega.
No,
so, like,
not Lou Bega. Damn it, Drew, I heard that.
Vega?
Mbega, not Lou
Bison?
Bega.
M. Bison, right? Okay, Mr. Bison.
Drew's was funnier.
Mbenga, like I kind of feel like with him, they also lost another opportunity.
Yeah, that didn't need to be thrown in. That could have been an entire plot point.
What? I love that.
Agree. Oh no, I agree with like the reason what they did, Majeed. I just feel like they had lost an opportunity to tell a story.
That could have been part of another episode. And if not the entire plot line, it could have been a subplot. Like that was such a throwaway ending, right? I think it's great. Again, I love it.
And if this were like Discovery or Picard, it would have been something that unfolded over the course of 3 episodes.
I don't think it needed that, right? But I do think that this could have been if this episode was paced out differently, or maybe next week's episode was paced out differently. Like everybody is so conditioned to serialized TV that they could have just said, hey, Hemmer's been running some diagnostics on the transporter, that issue we had last week with the light virus and everything. We noticed that you had something in the pattern buffer. Can we take a look at that? And that's your B storyline. That's your B storyline for another episode that has something else going on as well.
They didn't have to even do that. They could have went along the lines of just saying like, oh, the reason why at the end of the episode they could have done the reason why it didn't like the filters didn't catch it was because the docking crew didn't have a chance to upgrade the sickbay ones. They could have just left it at that, and they didn't have to give like some sort of uber mystery. It was him. But they could have just left it that, and then they next episode did a little breadcrumb and just move along, and then to the point where we get to, because like to me, I feel like his episode is going to be about his daughter.
And it should be.
Which
Yeah, it should
which
be.
I'm really excited to like see, because I'm hoping that they can then get a solution for her disease. But I feel like they could have breadcrumbed it like a few episodes in to reach him, and they're kind of already doing that with Sing. They're breadcrumbing her past, and I feel like once we get to her episode, it's going to be something a little bit different.
Agreed.
Mm-hmm.
But to be clear though, I do like the direction that they're taking.
Agreed. Yes. This is the nitpicking nerds, right?
I mean, this is what I do. This is what we do, you know? Like we I mean, GD, I know you do this with like, you know, She-Hulk and stuff. He's like, yeah, I do.
He's like, yeah.
No, totally.
You know?
Or was it Sonic, Ugly Sonic?
Yeah.
Why did Ugly Sonic have teeth? Why did he have teeth? There was no reason for him to have teeth.
To chew.
He also had 5 fingers, and his calves, his legs were so well defined.
Jealous, right? Jealous.
I'm very jealous of those calves.
Yeah, it was so weird. He had teeth though. The weirdest part was the teeth.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Anyway,
that's okay.
it's just it's nightmare fuel though. Like, why did they think that was okay?
I regret
That
bringing
thing
this up now.
You should.
Any thoughts on the storyline with Spock and Pike? It's kind of like an afterthought in this episode. But
I think to me, like, you could have probably done the entire episode without that side story.
I mean, Pike still has to be in it.
It gives more context, and it gives potentially better understanding of what happened, but it was just like a very side story-esque. It didn't really.
Yeah, I mean, I'm personally of two minds with it. I agree with you, but at the same time, I don't think that number one's reveal would have had the same impact if they didn't have Spike on the planet, basically informing the viewer.
Spock, right?
No, he
Spike?
said Spike, and I thought he did it on purpose, like Spock and Pike, like their relationship name, kind of like Bennifer, right, with Ben Affleck and Jennifer Aniston. I thought you did that purposely. You could have just played it off like that. That was
would Kirk and Spock be Spork?
Yes.
Oof. I am so glad, because I was going in a different direction with their relationship name. I'm so glad you said what you said.
What was your name?
I can't say it.
Why not?
I can't, because it's insensitive. It's an insensitive word.
I will chirp it out on the edit.
I can't.
Please do it.
Or actually, would that be
Cork?
All right,
No,
so,
it would be.
yeah, can you be fair and just really bleep those out?
Yeah, I will.
Okay, all right, thanks.
I can assure you,
God.
Spork is better.
Spork is so much better. Or
I
Spike.
don't know.
Spike
I think Cork is pretty good too.
Gosh. Oof, I just saw lightning. That storm that was at Drew's house is making its way over mine.
Weather doesn't work that way. Good night.
Sorry, no, Brad.
I feel like that also relates to this episode too.
Brad, wait. Brad. Let it simmer. Listen, I need a moment. Every time he drops a Futurama reference on me, I need a second. I need a second to recalibrate.
I didn't want to peek the microphone, otherwise I would have gone full Morbo on it.
God, that's so great. Anyway, I'm sorry. No, weather does work that way, and weather did work that way inside of the show too. That ion storm, whatever, was coming up. Oh my God. But no, yeah, no, I just saw lightning, true. And I'm south of you, so if the storm was moving south, the weather does work that way, good sir.
I just wanted to say it.
You just want to say it? That's fine.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
I know.
I want to get into the rating of the episode, by the way, at some point, because I'm really happy with how these are turning out in my average of this show so far. But I realized that we had a discussion on Twitter the other day about my term for Pike, which is zaddy.
Yes.
So we talked about the word zaddy and why I call Pike zaddy. So I got it up on my screen, by the way, and the reference is from Merriam-Webster.com. Words at play, zaddy origin. So
Are we talking like Urban Dictionary / Merriam-Webster.com or
no, just
is this in the Oxford Dictionary? Because unless it's in the Oxford, I don't accept it as part of the English language.
Well, you know what's funny? It's not an actual like definition, but it's a word we're watching. So, in my mind, in my head canon, that just means that they're going to add zaddy to the dictionary at some point.
Oh no!
Which would be great. I mean, listen, they added dough, right? Like what Homer Simpson says. All right. So, zaddy. Just really quick. I know Drew likes this. Zaddy, a fine, handsome, and sexy-ass intelligent man that makes you smile and drip every time you see him. I'm not finished reading this. Man, I should have finished reading that before I went full sexy voice.
There's another opportunity for you.
None of these definitions are safe for me to be saying with a sexy voice. All right. Zaddy, typically a guy who's older than you, but sexy AF. He makes you, nope, I'm saying that either. What dictionary did I go through last time?
Urban.
Urban.
Got it. Zaddy. Zaddy. A handsome gentleman, certain flair and swag, typically an older aged gentleman. And there's the use of it in a sentence. Damn, Zaddy, 10 years between us just means you're wise and I'm your student. Or another use of the word. Damn, Anson Mount is Zaddy.
Can you give me one more sentence?
One day, Drew hopes to be a Zaddy.
I really don't.
I got another one. All right.
I think this has gone on for far too long.
No, hang on. Last one. I promise we'll move on. Drew hates when Majeed calls Pike Zaddy.
True story. Accurate.
Also is the term Zaddy. Anyway, feel free to share that on the interwebs.
I will absolutely tag the person that I was speaking with, whom their name escapes me. The Ben Kimberlin on Twitter. All right, so I think that's a good time as any to pivot into our final score for the episode.
Bam, bam, bam. Bam, bam, bam. I don't know why I did that.
Majeed, let's start with you.
All right, so this again, this show is firing all cylinders. It's hitting the road running. Like it's found its voice pretty early on for me, and I'm gonna continue the trend of giving this thing an 8. You know, I like the mystery. I was like, hey, why the hello is number one? You know, at first I'm like, hey, why is number one infecting the rest of the crew? Right? Because I'm like, oh, okay, well, she's absorbing the light, and she's
I thought that the same way too at first.
And I'm like, man, she's kind of a jerk, just going around and infecting everyone. And when it came out that she was, you know, Odyssean, Illyrian, and I guess that means she had enhanced strength, right? Because she went toe to toe against Singh. You know, I thought that was great. I thought it was also kind of dumb that every single person decided to get a. All right, hang on. So let me rephrase this. It was a bit of jumping the shark for me, a little bit, when you're trying to transport in a piece of the planet's core.
Oh yeah, the mantle.
Right, and that was when the first question came up: why is number one able to lift this person? Right? Is that person like a?
Oh yeah. That's what it was.
I mean, he's just a man that's taller and bigger than her. But I mean,
is that it though, or is his race like dense?
That's never been previously established. I think the thing is, in my mind, learning how to carry somebody that's heavier than you seems like basic Starfleet training. Like, they teach Marines how to do that. Why wouldn't they teach Starfleet how to do that?
I mean, I think it may have been just like she carried him all the way from where he was, and that's like, I don't know. I'm grasping at straws here.
If she can get him on her back, she can carry him anywhere.
Okay, so you're saying it's good training to have?
I do think so, yeah.
So can I practice on you and then Brad practices on me?
All at the same time, yes.
We could be three people in a trench coat and just sneak into a movie and pay one price.
Okay, Drew's on bottom.
Well, his calves are bigger. It's gonna support us. Oh wait, I got another one. Zaddy, the level above being a daddy. Anyway, so I'm sticking with my 8.
Brad, let's go to you.
I always like to reference back to what you always say, Drew, of the, if I'm flicking through the channels and I come across this, does it pique my interest? And that's one of the things I always try to stay on. And there were points in the episode that kind of felt very dry. I think in the beginning it kind of felt a little dry to me. It did pick up. There were some points that were just kind of like meh, where I think it was when Uhura was in a room where like the two other guys like became let me project a sun in our room, and she's like WTF. Like, and then number one goes to her room and like lays in her bunk and is like, hey, what were you doing? Why was it not impacting you? There was just like a few moments that kind of were like meh to me. Overall, I did enjoy the episode. I did. Some of the twist felt just a little bit much. However, the very end with Mbanga at the end with his daughter was. I felt they could have slow played it. I thought it was a really interesting touch, and I'm really interested to learn more about his character. But I think what we've mentioned earlier, though, is that the reveal that she was Illyrian to me felt it didn't mean that much. It could have meant more if we got to learn and care for the character a lot more. But I think I was a solid 7.
Yeah, I mean, I think, relying on that, tried and true metric, if this was on, I'd leave it on. I don't know that I'd necessarily be as engaged with it as I have been with the previous 2 episodes, though. So far, this, I think, is the weakest episode of the 3. Mm-hmm. I liked it, but I don't think it was as strong because I think they just really tried to pack too much information into a short amount of time.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I don't think you liked the episode because Sam Kirk didn't get hurt.
Sam wasn't even in it. He wasn't there.
I am so disappointed.
He would have listened. I could easily see Sam Kirk replacing Lance and just smashing his head through the glass to get light.
Oh, that would have been perfect. That would have probably made it a lot better.
That right, Drew would have enjoyed that.
I'm so disappointed that my South Park Kenny theory has been shattered.
Yeah,
I mean it hasn't been. We just haven't had an opportunity to maybe next week he'll also get hurt.
Maybe he's still recovering because he got knocked out last week.
I don't think a single person's died in the series yet.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't think so.
Well, again, if you look up Sam Kirk's fate, then it's bound to happen at some point.
in this series.
Maybe. Well, again, we don't know because season.
Well, no, we do know because it happens in an episode of the original series.
Does it? Oh, okay.
I know
that.
I know exactly when Sam Kirk dies.
Oh, okay. Well, we also know that James Kirk joined season 2.
Right.
Yeah. By the way, the Sam Kirk reveal was like a surprise. I don't think we talked about that. Like, we knew about all the other casting. At least I did. I didn't know about Sam Kirk.
Well, yeah, I don't recall.
I really didn't pay much attention to the casting other than Pike, Spock, and Number One. Most of the stuff was really fresh for me. But Drew,
well, you have Google alerts for Rebecca Romaine, so that's why you know about her.
You don't?
No, I have him for her husband.
Fair. He is pretty dreamy.
Yeah, Jerry O'Connell.
Yeah.
Superman and the other guy. Sorry, Drew. What's your score?
Thanks, guys.
I was trying to bring us back on, but
I appreciate you, Brad. I appreciate you.
Hey, I literally just asked, what's your score?
Well, as I was saying,
Good night, everyone.
Sure.
Sorry, buddy. I'm sorry. I love you. Just to see the look in your face when I do stuff like that. Okay,
I'm gonna give this a 2 just to spite you.
No.
No, I mean, like, I just too many stories happening at once, too many major reveals, I think, being crammed into a short time frame with not enough of it earned. I'm not opposed to what they've done with the characters. I don't think that Number One being Illyrian is exactly necessary, but I'm willing to go along for the ride with that. I really, really, really like the layers that they've given Dr. Mega with his daughter. I think there's some fascinating storytelling to be done there too. And we neglected to mention this, but storing somebody in a transporter buffer has been done before as well in TNG episode Relics, thanks to Montgomery Scott.
So I actually, man, I want to hear your score, but I do want to talk about that. Because like that was something that in the way it was explained in this episode, it was like that's a thing. Whereas if I remember correctly, the TNG thing, it was more of just a theoretical possibility. It was never really something that they practiced, if I remember correctly.
Well, I think the difference was with Scotty, he had put himself in there for
decades.
It was 100 years or 70 years or something like that. And he didn't have anybody to like periodically transport himself out. The other person that was in the buffer died in that episode. So it was definitely a risky maneuver. Whereas in this episode, if he's periodically bringing her in and then putting her back out, bringing her out and putting her back in, I guess that circumvents that. Yeah. I don't know. It's a little gray.
I'll give it that one.
So I don't remember that episode.
You haven't seen it?
No, I saw. I just don't remember it.
TNG.
No, it's in The Next Generation, season 5.
He's just a Scotty though.
Yes.
Yeah, he shows up.
Huh.
Yeah, the whole idea is that he was going to retire somewhere, and this shuttle crashes, and so the puts himself in a pattern buffer so that the Starship Enterprise eventually finds him.
I think I did see that one. I thought it was cool.
It's a good episode.
Yeah, it was. I learned a lot from that one. If the captain asks you how long something is gonna take to resolve, you don't tell him like the full time, because then when you do it sooner, he thinks you're a miracle worker.
And this is how Brad has succeeded in life.
Exactly.
That's also a Lower Decks reference, right?
Buffer time.
Yeah,
that's a little different. It's the same concept, but with a different approach.
Yeah.
The Scotty used it as a way to become a miracle worker.
Yep.
Lower Decks is using it as a way to slack off.
Yep.
So it's a same idea, different approach. Anyway,
what's your score, Drew?
I think I think I got to give this one a 6.
Really?
Yeah, 6.5.
I was actually torn between that too. I'm not gonna change my score. I'm sticking with the 7, but like I was actually close to a 6 when I was like going through this. I want to enjoy the series, but I do have to be true to myself. Is like, to me, I found this one being a little bit more of a boring episode, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I think a 7 is a little high. I think a 6 is a little low. So I think 6.5 is a good spot for me.
That makes me sad.
Why?
I don't know. You know what it is for me? This I hear the echo. Man, I hear the echo. I cannot wait to finish this room. But anything when it comes to a father and his daughter, man, it pulls at my heartstrings. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. You know, I get it. I get what he's doing, and I would more than likely do the same exact thing. Number one, her hiding her secret for so long. You know, I also get that. You know, she wanted to prove herself. And even Singh getting mad at her, getting mad at number one for the exact same thing, because Singh didn't hide it. You know?
I think, I mean, like, I'm with you, but I think that the execution on these things just kind of missed the mark.
Yeah.
You know, I think that there's a beautiful story to tell with Mbega and his daughter, but it was such a throwaway at the end of an episode that already had a ton of stuff going on that I don't think it had the impact that it could have had.
So Mbega runs that medical officer. He's the senior medical officer, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so if number one's investigation determined that the transporter in the medical bay wasn't upgraded, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what it determined.
That's what Hemmer found.
Okay, so now if the investigation determined that was the case, and Mbega just says, like you suggested earlier, well, it just got missed. That makes Mbega look incompetent at his job. Now, that's not great, right? Because he's the chief medical officer. Well, at least this way, you know, we have a bit of, that's kind of why he did it.
There's other ways to approach that, though. He could have just said, like, I wanted to conduct more tests on some new filters for the bio, blah, 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 or whatever.
They didn't even have to say he was holding something in the pattern buffers. They could have just said that they didn't get a chance to upgrade it. And they could have left it at that. Not dropping a breadcrumb.
Right, but that just seems like incompetence at that point. Like that feels like just a cop out. Like, Mbega and his team is incompetent. At least this way, again, there's that.
Remember when like the Enterprise left the space dock? Like they were leaving in an emergency. They didn't have that chance to leave. They could have just marked it off as that. It's like we left it where we just didn't have time to do it. It doesn't necessarily mean that he was incompetent. Right. I do agree, Majeed, with you though. Like the whole concept of behind as to why his it really did get to me a little bit at like once they he beamed his daughter in and he was reading the story, like that got to me. But I felt they missed an opportunity that would have made it even more powerful, like more meaningful, like a better reveal, and just drop a breadcrumb, and then maybe next week's episode we find out why. They're treating this as a adventure of the week type story. So if that's the mentality going into the show, then that you're basically asking them to break the storytelling mode.
But if they're going to treat it like an adventure of the week story, then why do we have all these threads from episode to episode?
Okay, sure.
Like they're splitting the difference. Make no mistake, right? And I'm okay with it. I'm okay with the way they're doing it because the main issue is self-contained and isolated from the day-to-day stuff. But like, look at the stuff with Pike thinking about his future, and the cadets that he's going to be saving, right? You're going to hear about that again at least once more, right? So like, in order for these characters to have growth and development, you need to do something like that. There has to be these little breadcrumbs, but but at the same time, I think it's, if you force too many of them in at once, they just lose their impact.
I think that's, to me, the biggest thing, Majeed, is like, it's an information overload. There's too many things occurring at the exact same time. I agree with both the number one being Illyrian is a big reveal, and then Mbenga having his daughter in the pattern buffer is a big reveal. And like, you get two big reveals, and I feel like it kind of loses out because of such the impact on it.
They stepped over each other.
Yeah. To me, it could have been it could have been like a really good reveal for like a story arc for Mbenga, and they missed that mark on dropping breadcrumbs and eventually building up to it. But you're right, though, like, it's not a huge overarching story. You could still do it. And that's what most of Star Trek did for years, is that you would have those small little story points where they don't really even impact. They just build up relationships. Things like Bashir and Miles O'Brien and DS9, where they build a relationship. The Riker and Deanna Troy. When they were building a relationship, and that Spock and Kirk build a relationship over the TOS. You can still have those small sub points, but it be still very impactful overall.
Okay, sure, I get that.
Yeah. So on that note, what do we got next week?
Spock-a-mock?
No, actually,
Memento Mori.
Memento Mori. Pike must find unconventional Starfleet methods to deal with a malevolent force that attacks the Enterprise.
Oh, cool. I wonder if this is going to be a Pike, saves the day situation, because I would like that.
It sounds kind of like a Charlie X or Where No Man Has Gone Before type episode.
Could be the cue.
However, it sounds also like we're going to be focusing on Pike again. So
I'm okay with that. I'm happy with not having the entire series be the Pike show, but I do think that Pike is leading the charge, and there should be focus on him.
Well, if you also notice too, is that each character, Pike still is that secondary main plot point.
Yeah.
And I think that's like a good direction. But yeah, I'm excited to see next week's episode.
Yeah, it's going to be great. So, all right, guys. Well, let's wrap it up. Want to thank everybody for listening. We'll hope to see you next week, and we'll see you next time.
Have a good one.
Take it easy, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Yet Another Star Trek podcast. We are a part of the Retro Sessions Network. This episode was recorded on May 22nd, 2022, and is hosted by Brad, Drew, and Majeed. I edited this episode. I'm Drew, just in case you didn't know. Brad, thankfully, wrote the synopsis, twice in fact, and Majeed, well, he takes care of all of our beautiful artwork. Special thanks goes to William Grobelar Music for writing and performing our theme song, Warp Speed, and our interstitial music, To the Stars. Check him out on SoundCloud. Also, I want to thank George Rattau for all the additional artwork. He made us look awesome in a Lower Deck style, so if you want to check out either of them, we have links for that in our show notes. Of course, we would love to talk to you on social media. You can follow us at Yet Another ST Pod on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, you name it. Or shoot us an email, yetanotherstpod@gmail.com. Most importantly, we've got a Discord room. There's a link for that in the show notes as well, too. We would love to talk with you about Star Trek video games, pets. Show us pictures of your pets. That's pretty cool. Everybody loves animals, right? Are you a genetically modified human? Let us know with a 5-star review over on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere you get your podcasts. Plus, it's a great way to help support our efforts for free. Thanks again. We'll see you next week.